What's going on, everybody? Ladies and gents, guys and girls, all my peeps from the east to west. It's your man Max Deshaw here back at Bodhi Tree Studios, and I've got a video tutorial today where I'm going to talk about mixing vocals. I'm going to show you a couple techniques that I use, a couple little tricks. We're going to talk about consolidating, which my Pro Tools brethren might be familiar with. We're going to take a look at a bit of EQ and compression, going to look at some fancy plugins, and this is going to be a video in two parts. And today we're mixing vocals, so let's jump into it. I have a session here that is a little bit of a hip-hop and R&B flavor type thing, and I've got all my my vocal takes here in light blue. So the first thing I'm going to do is just go ahead and color these so that they stand out. I don't like the default grayish blue. It's a bit depressing. So if you've seen the first couple videos, I went over some hotkeys and just some little tips and tricks in Logic. And so once again, to open up the color box is Option C. Bam, beautiful. And I usually like to color them red, like that, for lead vocals. So once again, color Option C is your hotkey to bring up the color window. Now, this particular MC that I'm working with, we like to do, he likes to do his takes or his verse in little takes, like sometimes 2 bars at a time or 4 bars at a time to piece together a 16. So that's what we've got here. And as you can see, all these little chunks of audio, these are actually all of his one verse, just the little pieces, and they're all separate takes. Now, this doesn't only happen in hip-hop. I mean, it can happen in any genre, you know, where your singer wants to get the perfect delivery, the perfect tone of voice, and the perfect breathing. Maybe they can't fit it all into one, you know, flawless take. They have to do it in a few takes, and then it's up to the engineer and producer to piece that together. So I'm just going to solo these for now, and a really cool trick in Logic is that instead of individually clicking each box, if you want to click or mute or solo anything, a bunch of them in a row, you can just click and hold and drag up and down like that, and it'll do them all together. So I'm just gonna click the top solo button and drag all the way down as far as I want to go, and we'll just have a listen to these vocal takes.
1, 2, think about your crew. 3, 4, think about them royalties. And don't ask me if I'm loyal, because there's no question. Never act too aggressive, them ladies gon' get apprehensive. I learned that lesson watching a fan get mental. Homie had damn credentials, just no mental. He was messed from the get-go, so let's not go up that hill that he went up and fell.
So as you can see, those are all separate takes, and what we want to do is just piece them all together so that we have one consolidated master vocal track. And this just makes it easier for the engineer later on when he's mixing, or if you're doing this yourself, it still makes it easier for you as well. But if you're going to be sending off these stems to someone else, you don't want to send them 49 separate little takes. We want to consolidate them into one master vocal track. Then it's just easier to work with, and you have one file instead of a whole bunch of little pieces floating around. So basically, how we go about doing that is called consolidating. Now, I know in Pro Tools there's actually a hotkey or a real quick function to do that, but I'm going to show you how to do that in Logic today, because that's what we're working with. But before we do that, I always like to go into each individual take and just check out the front and ends of each one of them to make sure there's no clips in the audio at the tails of each track, and just do like tiny little fade outs to smooth things out. So I'll just take this one track here in the middle for a sec and show you what I mean.
I learned that lesson watching a fan get mental.
So we can hear like a tiny bit of a breath and at the beginning of this track.
I learned that lesson.
I just like to usually get rid of those, and it helps blend each little piece of audio together. So to bring up this menu, the quick function is just hit escape on your keyboard. Brings up this menu anywhere your pointer is on the screen. And so hit escape, and we're going to go to the fade tool, and then just go to the beginning of the audio, and I like to just drag in a little tiny bit of a fade. at the front and at the end. And I do this almost all the time when I'm piecing together audio takes that are going to be turned into master takes later down the road. So all that does is it just puts a tiny little fade at the front, and it just makes a smoother transition.
I learned that lesson watching a fan.
You can still hear a tiny bit of the breath, but yeah, that's just making things a little bit smoother.
I learned that lesson.
And I'll just take a quick look at some of these other ones too.
Hold me head down.
That one's okay. The main thing you're looking for is just when a piece of audio gets split right in half, it'll create like an audio pop or like a clip. I'm sure we've all heard these when we're mixing before. And those are just the most irritating thing, and they sound so unprofessional. So they can be avoided, obviously, but if you do have them, I always like to just put the fade tool, just create little fades at the front and at the ends, and it's almost a surefire way of avoiding those altogether. So I'm just gonna do this for, pretend we're doing a cooking show and just time lapse forward right here. I'm not gonna do this whole thing in front of you, but I think we all get the gist of it. We'll put little fades at the fronts and ends of all the little the audio takes like that. And then once that's done, I'm just gonna zoom out here so we can see all of them. And then I'm gonna highlight all of the audio, which is all of our red tracks. That's our verse. And so highlight them all, right click, and we're gonna go merge, this little button right here, second from the top. Now it says mix down of audio regions, mono or stereo. These were recorded in mono. Always want to keep lead vocals, kick drums, snares, bass, things like that in mono. So we're gonna bounce them. Yes, we want to keep that mono. Beautiful, look at that. So that just cleaned up about 12 or so tracks. Forgive my math if I'm off there, but so now all we can do is just delete these, and that's just going to clear up tons of space in our session. I'm just clicking here over on the left here and then hitting delete, getting rid of all those unused takes. So now we have our master vocal track, our lead vocal track, and we'll just put lead vocal here. I'll type that in, lead vocal, and we can go ahead and color that one again, and bright red, gorgeous. So now I'll zoom back in, and everything, all those little pieces have just been gelled together in one flawless, beautiful master vocal track. So that was a quick look at consolidating. We checked out the fade tool, did a quick review of the color box, and also this fabulous tool, it brings up our menu. Now this little menu, you can also access it up here, I think, over in the top right corner of your screen, but it's way quicker just to hit escape wherever your mouse is. It'll bring it up, and it brings up all your tools for you. Yeah, so that's part one of the video, and second half we're gonna look at compression, EQ, a whole bunch of fancy plugins, and we're gonna finish up our vocal track so that it sounds amazing and it's ready for the Billboard charts. All right, peace everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Subscribe to these videos and stay tuned for more. Peace.